fully charged my phone, which means I can now look at chat whenever I want, which is awesome. It's gonna make this a little bit easier for me. So, yeah, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. I felt like playing it this morning, since I'm planning to do Cookie Clicker later, and if I end up doing Cookie Clicker, I most likely will be too tired after that to play Great Ace Attorney later, but who knows? Maybe you'll get 2 Great Ace Attorney streams today if you're lucky. We don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. But for now, we're gonna start the trial, because it sounds like fun. The music's kind of loud. Let me turn that down a bit. Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon?
We're on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
I mean, that's true. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. Yeah, I don't know, it's like if you went to, like, I don't know, Australia, and learned their legal system. I don't know where I got that from. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass.
Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning. Oh, it's him. Oh, Mr. Natsume, good morning. He's still as fidgety as ever, huh?
Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't know how to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now, I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally?
Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume.
Yeah, but now you're like sleep deprived. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Hello, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I got a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Oh yeah, random thing. I'm gonna stop trying to drink nearly as much juice so that I don't have to, like, take as many piss breaks in these streams. Cause, yeah, I'm noticing that's kind of becoming a problem for me, is I have to get up to piss every hour, and, you know, I don't want that. I think I'm only gonna drink when I, like, actually feel dehydrated, because sometimes I just drink because, you know, why not, it's there, but I should probably stop doing that. Oh yeah, before we continue, I don't really know where else I'm gonna fit this into the stream, but, Nintendo announced a new Tetris 99 event that's gonna be this Sunday, I think. So, I'm probably going to be streaming that, cause, yeah. It's for Fire Emblem Engage, which is a game I don't really care about, but it is a new Tetris 99 skin, and I have not played Tetris 99 since, like, what was it, December? I think it's been since December since I've played Tetris 99. Or something like that, yeah. So yeah, expect a Tetris 99 stream next week. That'll just be a random thing I do. Do you know why that might be, Mr. Zato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea.
It's that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence, then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me! It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zeeks? Is that right, Mrs. Otto? We still didn't really figure out why he's doing this case, though. Like, why is he representing this specific case? Like, why did he... Because didn't they say, like, he picks and chooses which cases he does. So, like, why did he choose this one?
I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zeeks is on the front page of every one.
I knew it.
Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now. In fact, until the day before yesterday.
Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? Mm-hmm. That was his first trial after, what, how many years? Like 5 years?
I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's.
We wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country.
Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon, for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they're all speculating various answers.
Maybe he's just bitter that he lost the last one. Mundane? Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us.
Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that's how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago.
Yes, I agree.
Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire, it's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times, it's you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper. Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers.
I'm afraid there's only really one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck.
Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive! Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills, or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner to the bitter end, and I'll believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we'll always be on your side.
Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikatoba Esquires. I'm in your debt, forever. I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I live. Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. The court session's about to begin. Kindly make your way to the courtroom at once. I kind of forgot I gave those two the same voice. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Alright, Pokey, it's time. Yes? This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Cosma. Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. Yeah, I still don't know why the, like, background flickers white for, like, a split second. I really don't know what that is. Obviously not an emulation issue, because I'm running this off of Steam, so it's weird. The Old Bailey courtroom, 10 a.m., which is actually what time it is right now, funnily enough. Okay, not quite. It's 20 minutes to 10 a.m., but whatever. For a lot of people, it's like 1 p.m. almost, so... eh. Oh yeah, we got to talk to the judge again.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this courtroom to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution's fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord.
The Nippies are a truly fascinating breed.
Sorry, what?
Lord Stronghearts told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur.
Do you have a point?
Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description.
Susato-san.
After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
Oh, I gotta pour my wine real quick. He just has that ready every court he does.
Very true. And a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquired and its unfortunate violent end.
I don't really sense a lot of hostility from him, though.
Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public?
Oh, hey, look, it's, bad guy from the previous case. I forgot his name, Mr. Fairplay, I think it was?
You'll never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone.
Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I may appear.
Oh, hell, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. Why is the maid here?
I'm afraid to say, I think it's quite possible that Mustache Foreigner did the deed.
Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway.
Eh? Sorry, didn't quite catch that.
Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street.
A knife crime? I can tell you from bitter experience. Those are the worst. Bloody oath they are.
Just look at that shallow complexion and short stature. He's one of the dreadful Japanese.
Come on, let's get this over with me now. Everyone, 1, 2, 3.
Eh, sorry, didn't quite catch that.
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hollow chalice here in the great chamber.
You did that like 5 times last time, man. What do you mean? You can't just now apologize.
Allow me to call my first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please.
Oh, it's Luigi.
Your name and occupation, please.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard.
Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector?
Hey, Mario, the victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green.
I beg your pardon, Inspector? Thought to be?
Yes, having been stabbed in the back by an attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since.
What? So they don't even know who she is for sure?
Comatose. I see. But her life is not in danger.
Comatose? Can I'm going to assume that means, like, she's in a coma, right? Let me just double check that. Of or in a state of deep unconsciousness for a prolonged, indefinite period. So I think that's just I think that's just the full version of coma, right? Like, instead of saying I'm in a coma, you say you're in comatose, right? I'm guessing that's what that means.
Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector.
Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map.
Oops, wrong button. Thank God it's not like Neptunia, where it just skips, like, all the dialogue if you press the wrong button. Oh, the xylophone music's back.
As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not been long since it stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back.
You know, I wonder if we're ever gonna have a case in this series again where the defendant is actually guilty. Like, he actually committed some foul crimes. Because they haven't done that in a long time. I won't spoil which game, but it's happened before. There's been a case where the defendant was actually guilty, and that's kind of mind-blowing, honestly. I don't know if there's gonna be a case like that again in this series, because, again, I know nothing about the Great Ace Attorney games, so we'll see.
Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course.
What if, like, in the middle of this trial, she wakes up from her coma, and then we get to get a statement from her?
This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far.
Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please.
Case file. Should probably have a look at that. File containing an overview of the case and details of the victim. She was found with a knife in her back and is currently in hospital, yet to regain consciousness.
What of the weapon that was used?
Let me look at the case file first. Young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. Olive green, female, stout build, early 20s. Location, pavement of the Briar Road, east side. Reporting officer, Rolly Beat. Are we gonna get him to come to the trial, maybe? We don't know who that is yet. The victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Apart from the single stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. That's probably going to be important. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day.
Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back.
Ouch, that big thing's starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose.
A common or garden jackknife, I'd say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence.
Oh no, we got the jackknife. A large but commonplace folding knife. It was lodged in the victim's back.
Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume?
Okay, well, let's examine the knife. We can get it to open, obviously. Why is there no blood on it? That's a little odd. Wait, what? That's all it does? That's a little odd. Yeah, why isn't there blood on this thing? That's all it does? Huh. That's a little weird. Normally there'd be blood on it, right? But why is there no blood? Did they... Because they wouldn't wipe the blood off the murder weapon, would they? I don't know, that seems a little odd to me.
Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume?
From what we could tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have anything much with pinching, my lord.
I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment towards the victim?
I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
If theft and grievance had been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
He said, fuck the wine.
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who's being heavy-handed here.
What?
Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be on question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nippony student.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think I know who's going in the thumbnail now.
As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog.
Well, we can double check the case file, right? Oh, it doesn't actually say when she was stabbed, though. Unusually light fog.
Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement.
Collapsed on the pavement. Let me just double check that. Remains unconscious. No other signs of injury. Let me keep those in mind.
The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems.
Well, we also have the receipt, right? Your books.
It's just a matter of working out who the books belong to, and we found the bloke to arrest him.
Okay, I can't see him anything out of the ordinary there, so we're probably gonna have to press him.
Old books, you say?
Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident.
Oh, well now we have that.
Oh, yes, I can clearly see the books to which you're referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector.
Oh, now we have the crime scene. Photograph of the scene taken by a policeman, not policewoman, just after the incident occurred. A large knife can be seen thrust in the victim's back.
You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
Well, Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but the defendant is not denying everything as you put it.
What are you doing, Mr. Zato?
Do go on.
Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, now you mention it. When you visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what it all happened. Make out the silhouette of another ahead of me. The books are there, though. That's a little odd. A green overcoat?
Well, that's exactly what the woman in the print's wearing. Oh my, a photographic printed full color. What will the world come up with next?
The fan has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of the terrifying incident. That does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back.
There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there's nobody else who could have possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes.
Ugh.
Seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please.
Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Well, this will be fun. We're gonna examine everything now. Oh yeah, I can also, like, spam the D-pad to speed up the text a bit. A light fog, you say? What is Persona 4? I gotta stop doing that joke. Every time I think I see the word fog, I just immediately think of Persona 4 now. It's just a curse. Like, it doesn't matter how many years are gonna go by. It could be like 20 years from now, and I'll see the word fog and be like, oh yeah, Persona 4. Well, light for London. You can see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, isn't it? Around these parts, yes. Not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I've read that London's famous for its fog. Yeah, I mean, why do you think Mr. Sholmes' theme is like a foggy day in London, or whatever the name was? Or why do you think British people say, I haven't the foggiest idea what you mean? But in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance.
How quaint.
Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Fucking Silent Hill ass shit right there. You know, fog. So much fog, man. Horror games of that era do love their fog.
Indeed. The other day I was very nearly trampled by horses. I could see the carriage they were pulling.
Or before, rather. Suzato-san, I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen. I can't read, bruh. Come on, read more slowly.
However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Humans.
Oops, wrong thing. I actually can't seem to... Okay. I can speed it up. I can only speed it up if I've read the dialogue already.
How are you able to state that with any certainty?
Quite simply, my learned friend, because that's what the witness to this crime have told us.
Oh yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witness yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard.
That's correct, ma'am.
Then we must hear their testimony.
The prosecution will of course call them to the stand, should it be necessary.
But wait a minute. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog must have been, no one could have seen.
I'm unaware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights.
Oh. I mean, that is true, you know, we have street lamps.
The prosecution believes that there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind's completely conquered the darkness.
Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to.
Seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector.
Hold it! From behind, you say?
That's right. As you can see from the print.
Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon's clearly protruding from the victim's back. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition? Comatose, no less?
I'm afraid so, my lord. Yes, she's being treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be.
Yes, it is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on our client's side, it seems.
On the contrary, my client's been exceedingly unlucky.
Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid.
Man, it's always the eyes. Ugh. Mr. Nasme's belongings?
I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene.
Well, there's definitely 3 books on the floor.
Yes, the 3 books on the floor.
That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course.
Damn, that sucks.
The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand. Which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example.
He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Nasme has hands full of books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before he even knew it was there.
You mean to say the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back?
Why can't we just examine for fingerprints? I guess they don't have that technology yet.
That must be what happened, my lord, yes.
The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis.
Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature.
I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention.
The bloke's room was a stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books.
Oh, I read that completely wrong again. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector?
Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid.
Bourbon Books? Oh my god, that's a great name. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is in this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Mearsham Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Yeah, that seems about right to me. Something like this. Oh, nice. We have an update to the map.
Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point the inspector just made being, the bookshop's location? Why would the name or stock be any important? I can go look in the history, right? He didn't say anything about the stock or the name. So I think it would be the location, right? The crucial detail in what you just told the court inspector is the location of the bookshop. I couldn't agree more. So, where is it exactly? Are you winding up me, sunshine? I just explained that. I got the map out and everything. Used red bloomin' ink and drew the bloke's route home on for you.
I distinctly remember seeing you nod along, Counsel.
Oh, yes, of course. I've been so nervous I didn't take it in.
The blunder of the day goes to you, my learned friend.
No, not yet. The trial's only just begun, after all. Mr. Naruhodo, I would strongly advise you look carefully through the court record at this stage. Yes, miss, at once, miss. Sorry I made a mistake, miss.
Inspector, continue with your testimony, please.
Oh, shit, did I fuck up? Maybe it's the stock, then? Well, hang on a minute. Let me press this again. I feel like we gotta get something out of that. We gotta get, like, something added to his testimony or whatever. Yeah, let's try that again. Oh wait, the bookshop's name. Maybe it is the bookshop name. Let me look at the record again. Your books. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I didn't even think about that. It's the bookshop's name, because that's not where we got the books from. Okay, yeah, again, once again, I'm stupid. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor?
What?
Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance.
Maybe?
Maybe? Are you out of your fucking mind? Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue.
Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector.
Yes, sir, my lord. Okay, now I get it. Now I see what we gotta do. Whatever you say. Can the man be any more sardonic? Wait, what's that word mean? God damn, this game teaches me so many new words. It's crazy. I love it, though. Sardonic? Grimly mocking or cynical. And cynical means believing that people are motivated purely by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity. Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I already see what we need to present.
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson.
What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know.
This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Nutsmay's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books.
And you found that in the accused's room, did you?
Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it.
Go on.
This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books.
Your books? Your, I presume.
Yes, my lord. So Mr. Nutsmay did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books.
Huh?
What?
Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop?
Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here if that might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. I mean, yeah, if you think about it, if the other bookshop was at a different location, like, the timeline wouldn't match up at all. Like, if he went to Bourbon Books, he wouldn't have passed her, is what they're saying. My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely, it absolutely could be right.
Inspector Gregson, where is this Your Books establishment?
Obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Meerschaum Street, going east.
I mean, that still is a considerable enough distance, though. And there you have it. As you can clearly see now. Oh. Where'd you get that extra wine glass at? You just destroyed your other one, man.
My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown. The way he regales us with such witticisms.
Or maybe Rickyisms. You're not a clown, you're the entire circus.
To your future career in the circus.
You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you.
I, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed.
I guess that's true.
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
Ugh.
Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponese friend.
You calling me retarded, man? That's rude. Yeah, fuck that glass.
Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it Makes no difference in the final analysis. Ugh.
As me expected, you cannot fool me, and I don't suggest you try.
What did I say? I've had enough of this now.
Beg your pardon. Terribly sorry. Would you mind repeating that?
Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up.
What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty.
Oh, she's absolutely right.
We must think. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
They claim Saseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but...
Well, who's to say that he couldn't have gone a different direction, you know? Let me look at the map again. Like, think about it, right? What if he actually went this way instead of this way? Like, that's possible, right? Like, think about it, right? If he was coming back from your books, right, and he saw the woman get stabbed in front of him, right, he would have ran off back home. You know, that still could have happened. Must have passed the location of the incident on his way home, but... I mean, I don't see why we shouldn't raise an objection, you know. If it turns out that we don't need to, we can always go back on it. And, you know, just in case, I might as well make a save. Thankfully, I got all my lives back, though, from fucking up on Sholm's thing the other day. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed.
Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Damn, for once I'm right. If the fan used these streets, look what happens. Oh, nice Cosmo desk slam you got there. He arrives back at his lodging without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection! Talking back to a clown's a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what's commonly referred to as the long way round.
Well, what if he wanted to go a long way? I don't know. You know, I usually like to take the long way just to get more walk-in, you know?
On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home?
Maybe he didn't know the city very well. I don't know.
Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings, and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
But, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home.
I've already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection.
That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his entire time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. Well, that would probably prove our point, right? That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe it. Careful not to knock your glass over, man.
I thank you, my learned friend. And suggest that we do not waste any more time of the court's time.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in.
Any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors?
But even if that's the case, the defense still... I agree with Lord Van Zieks. Wholeheartedly in every way.
What? I don't believe it. Does this mean...
We members of the jury are completely convinced now.
Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Well, that was fast.
It would appear the jury's learnings are unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably.
Mr. Naruhodo. No, not yet. It's not over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow.
Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago.
Call it antiquated if you will, but it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. This is just gonna be like typical court proceedings now.
Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with a summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
Of course they're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his unctuous refusal to throw in his alley.
Come on, man! I thought you were on my side, dude. You were just there. We like cross-examined you that other time.
Very well, then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you'll each explain on what grounds you've determined the defendant to be guilty.
Well, these are fun. I like these.
For pity's sake, that little Nipponese already admitted himself, didn't he?
If he said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it can only have been the victim. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back to the bookshop, not in winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got to be going.
Your books. Yes, nice shop that. But Bourbon books? No, not worth a visit.
With only minor exceptions, the reason for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in a green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we've heard from the inspector that the defendant had fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already.
Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Why do you have to run away like that? How are you supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody can see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense? Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling. Yeah, you gotta believe, man. You gotta keep believing. If you want to force the trial to continue... Yeah, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward.
You have the floor, counsel. Begin your summation examination.
Yes, my lord. I just need to keep this trial going somehow. Whatever it takes. Come on, Ryunosuke, you could do it. Jury examination. I like how Gregson's just chilling in the back there. That's funny. Well, let's press.
Hold it!
Excuse me, but aren't you...
Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago.
Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face. Or the side of it, anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you?
That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. And it was all going swimmingly until you started fossicking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute.
Sorry?
Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals.
Oh, well, you know, water under the bridge.
Now there's all sorts of rumors running around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop.
If I could turn back the clock...
Well, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. I'm free to make up my own mind about who's guilty and who isn't.
Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this man's mind, given our awkward history. Oh dear. I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. Oh wait, his name is Mr. First. Not Mr. Fairplay. Actually, yeah, what is his... I don't think we can check his name, can we? No, I never did check more of this, did I? We have Joan Garrideb, 38, Mr. Garrideb's wife who poses as the household maid merely to keep up appearances in the neighborhood. She's in attendance today as a member of the jury. John Garrideb, a retired army man who's the landlord of the lodgings rented by the defendant, Mr. Natsume. An old knee injury means he's confined to a chair most of the time. Damn, he's 46 and he has like gray hair already. Typical anime stuff. Did I ever check out Gregson? Yeah, I think I did. We have Herlock Sholmes. There's not a person in the world who hasn't heard of this thing as Great Detective. Yep, we have Barrack von Zeeks. Prosecutor knows the Reaper, the Bailey. Though concrete details of the man are not forthcoming. And then we have Olive Green. We don't actually know her age. The victim of this case, who was found with a knife in her back. Luckily, the wound didn't prove fatal, but the woman remains unconscious in her hospital. Man, what's with Ace Attorney games having, like, stout women who we don't know their ages to? I can name at least, like, 2 other Ace Attorney characters who are like that. Like, there's Bikini and Trials and Tribulations, and then there's Scones and Edgeworth Investigations 2. I mean, unless we do know their ages, I don't remember.
Hold it!
You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite. That's precisely my point. Clearly, that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nipponese man with the staring mustache is the culprit. Let us not forget, madam, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man's obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly. Claiming the man simply claps for his eyes. But if that's a lie, as you're suggesting, do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you're, foreign. Who used to say what goes through your funny little minds? I could tell you what's going on through my little funny mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. I do declare the man's already made the admission. He himself has stated that there's no one else around. Surely the conclusion's obvious. No one else could have possibly committed this awful crime. Ugh. If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple.
Your argument's compelling in its simplicity, I must admit.
Oh my, you're too kind, my lord. Went well, for her.
Hold it!
But you can't deny there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books. Oh yes, like you drew on the map, you mean? What was it? Calabash Road or something? Precisely. But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not. Well, yes, that's true. At the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there? Well, yes, that's true as well. And as I understand, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he? Well, yes, that's annoyingly true. Huh, when tonight's a dark and cold, so the way I see it, you'd want to get home as quickly as possible. Well, yes. Why is all this true? So really, the only thing that could make sense is that he went home along Briar Road. I'm supposed to be convincing you here. I've given it a lot of thought, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on whimsies they said it. I mean, if there was some logical reason why I might have gone the Calabash Roadway, it'd be different. I'd be happy to recognize my position in that case. Honest, I would. And the reason why Sasaki-san might have taken the longer way home. Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. Well, it's not what we can present here.
Hold it!
What there is the matter, young man? You're the wife of Mr. Garrett, aren't you? The landlord who rents Mr. Natsume in his room? The master's wife? Where did you get your ideas, sir? I am the maid. The maid, you understand. She's keeping up that charade. This is going to be awkward. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? That you've been selected for the jury in this trial, I mean? Well, I was told not to mention it to anyone until the day of the trial, you see. It was in the letter me received. The instructions were very clear, so me afraid I had no choice. I see. Anyway, Mr. Natsume, the defendant takes lodging in your master's house, doesn't he? Yes, that's right. Although he's only been in a little over a week now. And that time, surely you must have taken stock of this character. Does Mr. Natsume look like the kind of man who would commit a crime such as this? Oh my goodness me, yes. He's just the sort. What? Spending all his time in that dark and dingy room, sporting that unscrupulous mustache. Man never speaks, and don't get me started on those shifty eyes. All the neighbors are talking about him. I've heard them, you know. People think he must be building a bomb in there or something. I can't imagine that man being a terrorist. Oh dear, poor Mr. Natsume. How could you say such things about him? He's just a harmless bookworm, nothing more. Well, you just called him a worm, so... Anyway, I better be careful about inviting this maid to speak. She said enough damning things already. Oops.
Hold it!
You know what? You can press the D-pad once, and then it scrolls. Man's life's on the line here, sir. This'll take as long as it takes.
Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too. So is my family's.
Ah.
The likes you wouldn't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and the kids.
Oh, I see. That must be very hard.
I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taking his stuff. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right, and center. They're after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk it is.
So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you?
That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just around the corner from where it all happened. By an old bookshop it was.
What? Another coincidence?
That's right. Meerschaum Street it was.
Meerschaum Street? On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please.
What's the point of that? Can't we just get business over with now?
Please, sir, it's important.
Fine, I'll do it then. On the day of heaven, I was digging up Meersham Street from dusk dawn till dusk.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that.
Hold it!
Sorry, fold it, you say? Fold what?
No, what I said was hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often?
I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about.
And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question?
Well, I was picking out the books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about.
Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time?
Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry. Not after that dreadful time I had.
What do you mean?
Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow starts falling. That's when it's most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road?
That's right. I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books.
Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be significant.
Sorry? Extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now.
It sends a shiver down my spine to hear the members of the jury so convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt. I can't help feeling that some of their opinions are rather subjective. I agree, it's the irrelevance of what some of them are saying that sends a shiver down my spine. Still, at least some of their assertions don't actually incriminate Mr. Natsume of anything. That's something. We must use that to our advantage, Mr. Naruhodo. Cunningly. Yes, you're right. Let's listen to the jurors again, carefully. And if any of their assertions are at odds, I'll pit them mercilessly against each other. Yes, don't hold back. Pit them all against each other. Well, at least we can compare, you know? Let's see. And we're going around to the houses on his way back. The poor one was attacked from behind. I was digging up on Meersham Street from dawn till dusk. Slipped over that evening myself on Calabash Road. Oh, wait a minute. Yo, I just noticed this guy, this guy is also wearing green. Could only have been the victim. I have a theory. What if the person he saw knocked over was this guy? Because he's wearing green. Only have been the victim. Well, first of all, I'm gonna save in case I fuck up. Well, before I do that, I should probably have a look. Let's see. Said the woman green collapsed. He said that a woman... I'm just gonna compare all of these. I'm gonna go with my theory, and if it's wrong, then we'll have to think this over again. Let me try this.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning.
A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel?
Well, juror number 2, juror number 6.
My, whatever do you mean, sir? I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you.
Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he'd been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot.
But the man says he has no recollection of his return journey.
That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes.
Yes, we're well aware of this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Objection.
Can we really be sure of that, madam?
My, whatever do you mean?
I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what had happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighborhood.
Oh my.
What a coincidence, damn.
My goodness, you mean...
That's right. I'm referring, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6.
Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman on the other side of the bench here with me today?
That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim.
Well, look at that.
My goodness me. Sorry, you need a pee?
And crucially, we know precisely where the old man green overcoat fell.
On Calabash Road.
Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly, the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home.
Oh my.
You idiot, old man. If you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago.
And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat?
What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk around the streets these days, eh? Is it a crime to slip over the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it?
My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but...
You'd like to change your leaning, I presume?
I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty.
Thank you.
And I would too.
What?
Is it a crime to change your mind, is it? Well...
Alright, that's some progress. Nice, now I only need 2 more people.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was wonderful.
Well, he managed to change a couple of minds at least. Strengthened our position somewhat.
Yes, and it'll prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume, we might be able to tip the balance completely.
Yes, exactly what we gotta do. Van Zeke's looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent, by whatever means we have at their disposal.
Thank you, Counsel. On with the summation examination, please.
Yes, my lord. Alright, well... Let's see... We can't press again, can we?
Hold it!
I don't think there's any reason to press again. Okay. Okay, so I don't think there's any reason to press them again. There wouldn't be any more information. Okay, I think that's all. Alright, so I'm guessing this guy is still here. Couldn't have gone around the houses on his way back. So, let's see. I don't know, I feel like this guy might be irrelevant. One was attacked from behind. What could we pit? Would have gone around. Well, what did he admit? Wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back. Well, let's look at the map. So... So this guy was on Meersham Street, right? So you'd think, like, realistically speaking, right? You'd think, like, the guy on Meersham Street would see him if he was going that way. I'm gonna try it. Just another theory of mine. I'm gonna I don't know, man. This is kind of tricky. I'm gonna try this. I don't know, it's just a theory, but I'm gonna see if this works.
Objection!
Oh my god, I think I'm right again. Those two statements are clearly at odds with one another.
At odds, Counsel? Explain yourself.
Please don't point at me. It wasn't me, I swear.
What? I just want to get this done and dusted.
Well, juror number 3.
Oh, me, sir? What do you mean?
Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. So I guess I was right, because, you know, if he was digging up on that street, he would have seen him if he went that way, right? On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Meersham Street, making it impassable. Oh! Well, damn, that makes it even more plausible. Which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Meersham Street and down Briar Road. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, damn, that makes it even more obvious.
Yes, of course. What do you think, sir?
Well, yes, you can't argue with that, really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way.
So the only conclusion's this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Maybe that's why he has no recollection.
Yes, I suppose he must have.
I suppose the moss be right, eh?
Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now that he had no choice.
Oh, yes. My lord, Mr. Judge said, if I may.
Yes?
I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened.
Hey, nice.
What about you, sir?
Who, me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in, that's what I say.
And there we go.
Well, that summation examinations conclude with a rather large shift in opinion. The ayes 2, the noes 4. So the noes have it, the guilties they say, not guilty they say, which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
The fuck you want now, mate?
Can it seem churlish I made a drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising objection, only to crush it in disgust? Pray, forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zeeks?
It seems I must retract my earlier remark.
What do you mean?
I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. Yet we have just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer. Eh?
Whatever do you mean?
Objection!
I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I said is the truth.
Indeed. Stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road as he claims. I believe he said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you'd excavated, sir. That's right. Took me the whole day. They paid me in the measly tuppence for it. Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me. Do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents?
Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all.
In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate vigor. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Eh, me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, but no.
What?
And did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? Eh, I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had the hope of passing anyway. And we just turned any gentlefolk back when they came. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is an old gentleman as far as I can see. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in the meanderings around town.
Is that true? Is it?
The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt on his way back to the lodgings. Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road.
Crushed in a single sentence.
And, old man...
Cold man, you could talk.
You say that around 5 o'clock on the day in question you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time?
I can't say as I remember.
You don't remember?
How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw. But I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. Order! Order! Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. My lord? If you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination? Huh. I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. Ugh. But my hospitality has its limits, and they've been reached, I feel.
The coat is gone.
So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over.
What are you talking about?
My lord, the prosecution requests permission to call its next witness to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses.
It's next witnesses? Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident.
Yes, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less.
I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness.
Alright, no matter who Van Zieks brings to the stand as his witness, and no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle's over.
Oh wow, look at these fine people.
Witnesses, please state your name and occupation to the court.
Oh, this must be the guy and his wife, right? Constable Royal Beach, sir! Nothing to report on the street, sir! And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name, and I'm proud to say I'm his young town here's wife.
What's the story here?
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day.
No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired.
Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world.
Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually.
Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean, and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights.
There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all.
It ain't Jesse falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago.
But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bob is a man of honor.
And a man of slumber.
On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction. And they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat?
That's right, sir. Isn't it, Rolly?
Constable Royal Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir.
What a great witness he's gonna be. He's gonna be asleep like 90% of the time.
Very good. I'd like to hear formal testimonies now, please. You'll tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident.
Also, I'm kind of thinking that I'm getting kind of tired of sitting down, so I think I'm gonna sit up instead. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. For the first time since, like, case 1, I'm actually gonna sit up for this, because I'm kind of in the mood for that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He's just gonna keep falling asleep. Alright, witness testimony. This'll be fun.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There's no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, and the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and went for help at a nearby police box. He's definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I saw him both as clear as day.
Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have possibly identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed.
It's death now, in fact. Because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate be chancing. And on your wedding anniversary, too.
That would definitely ruin the anniversary, that's for sure.
Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon.
What do you mean by that?
My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying on their oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. And one of these witnesses a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure.
Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking.
Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please.
Yes, my lord. Alright. Well, let's see how this goes.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. B?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply.
Well, that's pretty typical back in the early 1900s, I'd say. Well, I think you could probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you?
I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down to the ground, doesn't it, darling?
Huh? Well, I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy.
Oh no, really, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you'd finish your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir. Yes, although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. But please take my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail, without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all that Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But, sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B puts up with lot being married to a hobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat.
Oh, really? Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
If a little over the top, perhaps? Not really.
And then, kindly describe what happened next.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes.
That's right. They're coming towards us, walking up on Briar Road in the opposite direction.
Oh, nice. We get a nice picture here.
There's a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound like the victim is pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume.
Yes, unfortunately it does.
And you're certain that at the time there was nobody else nearby?
Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are also streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling?
Huh? Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road's dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians.
Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you just said?
Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day every day keeping on the streets, I swear to it, sir. Monsieur, as my love for Patricia's true. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Rolly.
Still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run.
Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly.
Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened to the crucial moments that followed?
Hold it!
Scattered something. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling?
Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. It was some old books.
I see, old books.
Yes, sir, the culprit had dropped a number of them around where the victim laid on the pavement.
Indeed. That's clearly pictured in this photographic print.
That rotten Japanese man did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. It was the man in the dock without question, sir. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the stubbed nose, everything. Any more insults you want to throw in?
That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. It seems as though they're telling the truth here.
May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife? Now please continue.
Not really getting any evidence here. Yes, sir.
Hold it!
Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I'm proud of a wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling?
Huh? What? Oh yeah, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. Well, Hobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on a crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box to the beat. The incident fell on us so she could go and report it.
I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from my Bobby on duty. There's nothing more important than a young couple in love working together, you know?
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of 2 model citizens.
Oh, please, you're making us blush. Isn't he, darling?
I mean, he's clearly blushing the entire time. Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Let's move on, shall we?
Hold it!
Well, how could you see him if it was foggy, though? For surely you wouldn't be able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you?
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know.
Right?
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband was already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he?
Yes, and what of the fog?
We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm.
Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, can you stop shaking your husband about?
The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling?
Huh, what? Oh, yeah. It was the accused, and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, it's unmistakable, sir. As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they think they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day.
Yes, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no, then what do we do?
If Cosmo-san were here,
What are you trying to say?
I think you're trying to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean somewhere else?
Their statements about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you can identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury doubt if that pair's memory on the day is accurate.
Oh, right.
Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it? Okay, well...
Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something?
Oh, yes, of course, what is it?
Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... Seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it.
What? No, oh no, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is?
Oh, that's... I think I know where she's going with this. That'll do, Mrs. Beat.
No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a moment that Rolly will.
I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fist down.
Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat. Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That'll settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? He's just sleeping again. The 4 books he dropped at the scene.
Hold it!
But didn't he drop 3 books? Yes, we know there are books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say.
Those purchased by the accused at the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question.
After I've been to the police book box for help, I decided to have a good look over the area for good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Rolly.
And what was your husband doing at the time?
Oh, he was lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. He works ever so hard, you know. Ever so hard. Don't you, my darling?
Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime.
Well, Mrs. Beat, seeing as you've regaled with the court with your tales of your powers of recollection, would you be so kind as to recount the title for the books you observed at the scene?
I'd be happy to. Now you're all listening. There was the picture of Monsieur Somebody Other, and What's It Yearnings. Then there was, a meal for someone, and the last one was definitely the Thingamy's something. You see?
Yes, I see there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory.
Oh well, they're along those lines, I'm quite sure.
There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it.
Well, what did I tell you? So I think it's very mean, the way you've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling?
Anyone who upsets my Patricia will have me to answer to. Put the gun away.
Terrifying.
Yes, she really is. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? Oh, yeah. I just wanted to press that. I know what to do. I just wanted to press that for fun, you know? Well, already I see what to do. Sometimes it's more obvious than others. Okay, well, let's go all the way back to the last one. So, what do we present here? Do we present the book receipt? Or do we present the crime scene photo? Because either of them work. I'm gonna try the crime scene photo.
Objection!
So, you're saying that there were 4 books.
That's right, I remember all of them.
Oops, wrong button.
The picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the Thingamy something.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But there's a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no, what flaw?
Simply that at the scene of the crime, there are only 3 books, not 4.
What?
Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books.
But no, that can't be. I saw them. I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me.
Sorry?
It's that a big old lump of a dead body. The lace so large a corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book, that's all.
Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even for insulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But Mr. Natsume could not have possibly dropped the 4 books you described, because we also have the receipt to prove that.
Why not?
Fascinating. And from your assured tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume.
Ah, evidence. Ah, sarcasm.
Counsel, you'll present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books?
The receipt.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt.
From your books?
Yes, this receipt details Mr. Natsume's purchase that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed.
No. Therefore, Mr. Natsume would have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madam, cannot be relied upon. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no, oh no, no, no. No!
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend.
What?
What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving.
Ugh.
So you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies? Would that be fair?
He sees right through me.
But your plan has somewhat recoil against you.
What are you talking about?
It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect.
Oh.
You see, the matter's not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Well, then why the fuck didn't you say that earlier? But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books.
Quite right, only 3 can be seen in that print.
That print? You mean to say... Oh, it's gonna be another fucking update autopsy report situation.
Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand.
Come on, man, you couldn't have presented that earlier? I don't believe it. It's the 4th book.
As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso.
No. No! Come on, man. Not cool, hiding evidence from me.
Order! Order!
Hey, you see? You see? Look at that. Look, look, look. Yes. It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir.
Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please.
Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody other.
The picture of Monsieur Lecoq.
What's it, yearnings?
Canterbury Yearnings.
A meal for someone.
A meal for Gabro, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book's titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional.
Do you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman gave me a compliment. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia's flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4. Are you meaning to tell me that maybe on the way back home he visited the other bookstore and bought like 1 book from there?
There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photographic print clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Also, is it just me, or does, like, the book look kind of burned? The victim was holding her own book? I wonder, what became of that 4th book?
Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. Oh, that's nice. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord.
Crime scene photograph 2, a second photograph of the scene taken by policemen just after the incident, specifically shows the victim's hand. And then we have the fourth book, a book entitled The Lion's Pride, discovering the victim's hand at the scene. The Lion's Pride? Hang on a sec. That seems like something that, Mr. Garrett would have.
The prosecution rests.
Hang on a damn moment. Oh my god. Look at this. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burned.
You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages.
What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
Book. Recently damaged by fire.
Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Oh my god. Dude, the fucking book got burned. That means it's from Mr. Garrett. Well, we can look at the front of the book. Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride.
I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all. So it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I have heard of a book by that name before. Very recently, too.
It's a title I recognize too, Mr. Naruhodo.
I think that's all.
Okay, that's some insane evidence, and then we have just the scene. Dude, I just thought of something. What if she's Mr. Garrett's wife? What if the maid is not actually his wife? Because think about it, right? They both have very plump figures. Dude, that would be fucking insane if that would be the craziest plot twist ever.
The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add.
What?
You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious long route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination.
Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I? You see, everything we said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions? Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is it the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You've heard of all the witnesses and seen of all the evidence. The trial has run its course.
Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we're in a terribly precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Rienosi, think. What do you do now?
How do we save our game? I mean, should we raise an objection?
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There's no more room for debate.
Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of what to say. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point.
Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this.
Oh. I am ashamed. Still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you'll have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential, and her opinions invaluable. Mr. Naruhodo.
One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madam.
Go ahead, Mrs. Otto, please.
Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fixed to pursue further?
Well, the court's been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible this new evidence might be decisive proofs we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Well, I literally just did that.
Yes, I understand, and thank you, Mr. Zato. This is it. Susato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord.
Very well. The defense might present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into the case, and has hitherto been overlooked. It's the book.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We've already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear?
Oh, yes, my lord. It's, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence. Which means, he may very well be on the right track. Yes, I think you might be right.
So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case? The vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals.
Got it!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question.
The back? What are you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp.
So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what's clearly an unreadable book? It's undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend?
Oh,
Were I to concede to the point, as if it bears no relation to the case, there's nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue to as what happened that day? Pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide?
a charred book. There's just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory.
Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage the sorry tome is obtained?
Its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals startling truth about the book's owner.
Beg your pardon?
But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor. After all, it's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers.
Good gracious, how can you possibly? Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book?
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who owns the house where the defendant has his lodgings. And a certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb.
The landlords?
Wait, wrong voice.
The landlords?
And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fated work, I don't know, but of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadeb herself.
Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. Me not Mr. Garadeb's wife. Me his maid.
Things would be so much easier if you just dropped the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadeb's house?
I would never have presumed to know of all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman's the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hard-working member of the public? You besmirch her without a shred of evidence? Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. Defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house.
Good lord, what sort of incident, counsel?
A fire, my lord. We know about the fire. Yeah, there we go. There's the lion's pride.
The lion's pride?
Wow, he looks kind of devastated there.
By Jove, the very same title as the subject of this debate.
Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. All you have told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself from the scene of the crime.
Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadeb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadeb even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful. I can imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Rolly?
Absolutely not, sir. My petition would never raise a finger against me, sir. Also notice that, like, some of the books are toppled over. Also notice that, like, he says, like, his favorite novels were in the bottom, like, cabinet, which is probably where they were.
The man had his back up against the window, and he had burning books thrown at him.
Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
I mean, that would make sense, though, wouldn't it?
No. A thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident.
I mean, there'd be glass there. We would have found glass.
And there's no report of the Gyarados window pane being broken.
That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Gyarados household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and...
Not even remotely. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter.
Oh,
Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book was found at the scene of the crime was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Gyarados' wife?
I believe it's a possibility, my lord. That's quite enough. Oh, it's her.
Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now, you four little trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward.
Really?
Claiming that our little tiff set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case. Not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name.
No, I assure you that was never my intention.
Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense. I should box your ears. That's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable.
Do right.
Here we go.
How long have we sat there now listening to this nippany spouting out his fancy 4 and 3s? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person could have possibly stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away from the scene too.
I do declare you're right.
It's true.
Yes, what did I tell you?
Makes sense to me.
Sorry. What's that?
Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zieks?
Wine, of course.
In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings.
But then one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage.
No, wait. The mystery of the 4th book still hasn't been...
If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time.
No, not the leg. Anything like that. What? Don't forgive the discourtesy this time?
In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you'll now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Oh boy, here we go again. Guilty again.
Thank you for that unambiguous response.
That's twice now, it's over.
Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up.
Mrs. Otto?
Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet.
You're not suggesting...
Of course. The defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You can still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance.
My lord, the defense asked to exercise its rights to a summation examination.
You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve?
I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. There's no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. Oh, to be continued. Okay, I'm glad I stuck through till that because whew, we've been going for 2 hours and 17 minutes. All right, well that's a great place to stop for now then. If I have time later, I might do some more of this. We'll do the second part of the trial. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I'm really liking how this trial is going. I'm definitely getting a lot more hooked the more I play the game. I'm sure, like, by the time I get to Case 5, it'll be like, oh, like, I have to know what happens, you know? I'm like, I can't just stop here. I gotta keep going, you know? I'm waiting for that moment, because I tend to get that way with a lot of my games. I tend to, like, get really into it in, like, the final few chapters, and then, like, I just want to keep playing to figure out the conclusion, you know? Happened, Bug Fables, happened with Persona, happened with a few other games, probably. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, as always, make sure to like and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch. And later tonight, we're going to be playing some Cookie Clicker. So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully that goes well. So, yeah, I will see you guys later tonight. So, bye.